Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Married Devil of Edmonton, and we get to hear from Frank Jerningham today. Now, Frank is the younger of the Jerninghams, and Raymond is the younger of the Mounchensys, and the two of them walked into this scene along with Henry Clare after we heard Peter Fable talking about the fact that he's rather upset with Sir Arthur Clare for saying that Raymond and Millicent are no longer going to get married because Mounchensey the elder has lost all of his money and now no longer has a dowry for Millicent. Sir Arthur Clare is then going to put Millicent into a nunnery for about 3 months while he tries to work out a way for Frank Jerningham and Millicent to get married. So this is all a trick, a plot that Peter Fable has overheard Clare has, and he doesn't like it very much, so he's sort of sworn revenge on that. But then the three younger boys, Raymond, Frank, and Henry, enter, and Raymond is kind of upset with Frank, and Frank doesn't quite understand why. But then Peter steps up and he's like, well, Frank, aren't you about ready to be a husband? And Frank's like, no, I don't ever want to get married. And Peter's like, well, yeah, you're the one that's supposed to marry Millicent. And, oh, but he's going to put her in a nunnery as sort of a fake out first. And Raymond, you're not going to get to marry her. And Frank turns to Raymond and says, Raymond Mounchensey, now I touch thy grief with the true feeling of a zealous friend. And as for fair and beauteous Millicent, with my vain breath I will not seek to slubber her angel-like perfections. But thou know'st that Essex hath the saint that I adore. Where'er did we meet thee in wanton springs, that like a wag thou hast not laughed at me, and with regardless jesting mocked my love? How many a sad and weary summer night my sighs have drunk the dew from off the earth, and I have taught the nightingale to wake, and from the meadows spring the early lark an hour before she should have list to sing. I have loaded the poor minutes with my moans, that I have made the heavy, slow, passed hours to hang like heavy clogs upon the day. But dear Mounchensey, had not my affection ceased on the beauty of another dame, before I would wrong the chase and o'ergive love of one so worthy and so true a friend, I will abjure both beauty and her sight, and will in love become a counterfeit. So this one, to me, feels a little bit like Frank is equating himself with Romeo from Romeo and Juliet at the very, very beginning, when he's so upset that Rosalind doesn't love him. What he's saying, he turns to Raymond and he's like, I don't want Millicent. Now I understand why you're so upset with me, but I swear to you, I don't want Millicent. I'm in love with somebody else, and you know it. She lives in Essex, and you've heard me complain, and you've sat up long nights with me while I moan about the fact that I can't have her, and I'm waiting for the next day to show up so that I can see her again and all this. He's like, you know that my affections are there. They're not on Millicent, I promise. And he's like, and even if I wasn't in love with somebody else, I wouldn't take your girl, because we're bros, and bros before hoes, man. So that's basically what Frank is saying here. And Raymond is like, okay, that allays a lot of my fears. I feel a lot better. Cool, thank you. And Peter is like, yes, that sounds, this sounds about right. But hey, Henry, do you also have Raymond's back in this? And we're going to get to hear Henry's answer to that question in tomorrow's monologue. So I'll see you then. Mwah.